see a Ghostly Prison on his side of the board. That's one of the cards in the deck that's particularly good against infinite anythings.
Oh, definitely. And it's not like it's trivial that it slows down the Tarmo Twin attacks, you know, in terms of Tarmogoyf requiring a little bit of mana, making it harder for Patrick to cast Cryptic Command. Ghostly Prison, I think, is one of the underrated sideboard cards in this format. And even main deckable cards. It actually disrupts a number of combo decks and is quite good against fast aggro decks.
Yeah, and you were actually talking about that on Star City Games, right? There's a lot of those white prison-style cards that are pretty decent in the metagame right now in response to combo.
Oh, absolutely. And part of what Reid is gambling on with his choice of Blue Tron is that he can use the white hate cards to hate out a certain number of people, but then he can beat everybody who's fair by either using Gifts Ungiven if they are fast, you know, Gifts Ungiven for Iona or Elishnorn, or if they're a blue deck, he can use the Tron element to out-mana them.
All right. So as we've seen Dickman do a lot of the time, he's not really on the twin package this game, or as you see in an end step, Electrolyze, putting Reid Duke down to 12, and looks like a Tarmogoyf getting ready to attack yet again.
Yeah, he often sideboards out most of the combo. You know, like he'll sideboard out 2 or 3 Splinter Twins without even a second thought.
Yeah.
And just transform into sort of a tempo deck, like a Legacy-esque rug deck.
So your 7th land is a Steam Vents into play untapped. Dickman not really worried about his own life total in this matchup. It's all about how much damage he can deal to Reid. We see another swing there from Tarmogoyf. We have instant, we have land. I don't know if we have anything else. We'll get a count on that. Yeah, it's a 3-4. Apparently there is, I believe, there's one other thing in the yard. And Reid will continue to grow card advantage. That's the end step, Thirst for Knowledge.
Chris Pakula was talking about this before the tournament. Why doesn't anybody play Thirst for Knowledge?
It's really good. It's probably the most...
It's one of the best card drawers in Vintage. I mean, why not play it in Modern?
Well, not everybody plays enough artifacts, but Reid's deck certainly does. And even if you don't play that many artifacts, the card's still pretty good.
So Reid is full-on Tron'd up now, right?
Yeah, looks like that mine will put him... Yeah, that'll complete the Tron.
Urza lands so-called because of, you know, the idea of forming a Voltron effect when you put all the pieces together.
Yep. Just have a lot of mana available. He actually, in this deck, as we saw last round, uses that mana, well, eventually uses it to cast Emrakul, but really, a lot of the times, it just helps improve his other spells. You see things like Condescend, Sphinx's Revelation, even Celestial Colonnade is one of the best applications of the mana he's making.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of ways to sink mana when he's got it to spare, but at the same time, he doesn't always need that kind of mana to function. I mean, this deck is much more capable of functioning on 4 or less mana than, like, for instance, a red-green Tron deck.
Yeah, so now Reid's opting not to play Tron here. He had that. He played a Hallowed Fountain into play tapped. When I'm watching that, you know, I'm confused. What's going on here? He has 6 cards in hand, appears to be getting beaten down, and seems like he could care less.
I mean, if he's not going to use the mana anyway, what's the point? At least this way he gets to play a land tapped, you know, well, he has a chance, so he can save 2 damage. It's very tempting to just play out the Tron as soon as you have it, but if he doesn't need the mana, I mean, this is just tight play by Reid Duke.
All right, so the Tarmogoyf, it's paid for, it swings, but it then takes a path to exile as Reid sends it into the exile zone, and now Patrick gets a island.
Every time I see somebody Path to Exile these days, I keep thinking of that new game, Path of Exile.
I haven't heard of this.
It's like a Diablo-style game. It's like it's like a Diablo, you know. It's a Diablo game made by a bunch of people who've played a lot of Diablo and who want to have like a real diverse skill tree, I guess. But anyway, here we see the Tarmo Twin backup plan in effect with, what is that, 9 land? I mean, he's out-Tronning Tron, at least for now. And now the Tron is complete. We're up to 12 mana for Reid. All he's really got, like, he's in no rush, no need to attack with Colonnades. Why not just hang out?
I like that. As I said, yeah, he has, well, you know, he only has 12 mana. You know, why rush things?
Yeah, I mean, and eventually he'll have 15.
All right. Pestermite is going to tap Colonnade. In response, Reid will cast another Thirst for Knowledge, still improving his hand further.
He's just digging. He's looking for Elishnorn, Iona, Emrakul. He already used his only Sphinx's Revelation, but a Gifts Ungiven would just win the game on the spot if he resolves it.
Yeah, he is 1 tower away from casting Emrakul next turn if he has the Emrakul. You know, that's not an Like,
that is definitely
that's a line that can work, yeah.
Definitely.
And Dickman goes ahead and gets a stomping ground.
Reid Duke is no stranger to the ramp decks either. I mean, this deck sort of reminds me of some of the Primeval Titan decks he was playing in Standard a couple years ago, where he just builds up big mana and eventually does really powerful degenerate things. He's pretty well known for basically 3 styles of play. Big mana ramp decks, mid-rangey Jundesk fair decks.
Yep.
And, of course, he likes to throw people for a loop with his
Boggles.
penchant for the boggles. Absolutely. So, Patrick, considering his options, he knows that he's in a real tough spot here. But fortunately, friendship is magic.
Yeah, that's certainly, those sleeves, oh man. I was wondering how long we could go in the match without mentioning them. It's like, those are just excellent.
So what's Patrick looking for here?
Well, and that, this is where Tarmo Twin is an interesting deck. I would think it's just like a couple cryptic commands or something. Maybe he has bolts, like possibly lightning bolts.
Oh, you're saying just to try to finish the job?
I think he just needs to finish the job here. He swung a Pestermite into a colonnade there and seemed pretty willing to do it.
Wow, what an aggressive bluff. Is the plan here now that he's going to Snapcaster Electrolyze?
He could snap Electrolyze, but there's another colonnade in the waiting.
Maybe that was just a straight up bluff and the Duke just snap calls.
Yeah, he's going to pass the turn. That was just a...
It was, in fact, just a snap call.
All right.
Reid Duke is not having it.
When you don't have enough damage on the table to get the job done, sometimes you have to find creative ways of finding the last damage, and that certainly is one of them.
Wow, and so now Reid is able to go on the offensive after seeing this display of weakness.
Well, here's how I would think about it. I don't think Dickman is planning to Splinter Twin his guy. And I don't think he expects that this Pestermite will ever be able to get through the team of colonnades. He's just on the burn plan anyway. So why not see if if the Pestermite's not worth anything anyway, why not just throw it out there and see what you can do?
So it looks like we do see a remand from Reid in order to stop the flashback to Electrolyze. Normally this would only stall it for a turn, but as we all know, remand stops the exiled cards.
And it exiles them.
Yeah, stops them completely.
So it's just a straight up dismiss against Snapcaster, which is pretty strong.
So at this point, Reid, he's got the win on the board now, right? Like at this point, I guess he needs one more mana in order to be representing lethal. It's not clear he'll actually go for it, but...
Yeah, Nature's Claim is now cast by Dickman.
Is he hitting the Ghostly Prison, do you suppose? Giving himself the out of the combo?
I don't know what's under the Oblivion Ring. And I think
it is the Oblivion Ring. Are we going to see an Ooze? We do.
Yeah, it's Scavenging Ooze.
The Ooze will give him a little bit of life to work with. Probably not very much, but it might buy him one extra turn. But it also means he's got a legitimate clock. Oh,
and that'll go to Reid.
Yep, doesn't have 2 creatures in the graveyard. So the score is evened up. Reid Duke tying it 1-1 after Patrick Dickman won game 1 with, in true combo fashion. What are we going to see in the sideboards? I mean, obviously they've already sideboarded, but we're going to get a chance to see a game from the beginning with the sideboard. What does Reid have?
Well, as we already saw, Reid has Ghostly Prison. He actually has a full 3 of them in the sideboard that he can bring in the matchup. He has 2 Remands in the main, and I'd assume he'd up to more Remands after board, especially if he's just trying to play this tempo game that Dickman seems to want to play. He also has Torpor Orb and Spellskite. If he thinks that Dickman's siding out the whole combo, so that's a question. So you'd still keep bringing Torpor Orbs, right? Even if you think your opponent's siding out the combo, just because it's fine against Snapcaster, it's fine against Pestermite.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it's legitimately good again. Yeah. I think it's going to be good because he's only got really 2 ways to play you. He can either try to combo off, or he can beat you with the backup plan. And the backup plan, 40% of the backup plan is Snapcaster Mage.
Right. Spellskite is also pretty good. Again, whether he's trying to twin or trying to burn, Spellskite's good against both plans.
Now the rough spot is that Ancient Grudge in Patrick's sideboard, it's working overtime here. Not only can he destroy, obviously, Torpor Orb or Spellskite if it comes to that, but he can hit things like Azorius Signet. If he's lucky, an Expedition map. possibly even a Batterskull, because often he's not going to have the mana to be able to bounce it.
Yeah, now, if you're Reid, what do you board out for these cards? You mentioned Batterskull, so I kind of wanted to touch on that. Like, against regular Twin, I don't think I would like Batterskull in the matchup. I just want to play the control deck and, win with an excess of mana. But if your opponent's playing Tarmogoyfs, do you need to keep, Batterskull's pretty good against Tarmogoyf, for example.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, he's got a lot of answers to the beatdown plan, so I wouldn't be surprised if he cuts both Batterskulls, but it's certainly an option to keep him in. Some of the stuff he's going to cut for sure, like Timely Reinforcements is gone for sure.
Wrath of God doesn't seem particularly strong.
See, I think he needs the package of Supreme Verdict, Day of Judgment, and Wrath of God, because that's the only way that Dickman's going to win, other than the combo, is from Tarmogoyf beats or Scavenging Ooze beats.
Yeah.
So my first guess is that we're going to see the Duke without Batterskulls. If he keeps one, maybe, but most likely he cuts both Batterskulls, and then he cuts Timely Reinforcements and possibly even some kind of a counterspell, but my guess is it doesn't change too much. All he really wants is 3 Ghostly Prisons, a Torpor Orb, and a Spellskite.
Yeah, and of note here, if you're wondering about these one-ofs that we're mentioning in Reid's decks, these are for his Gifts Ungiven packages. Gifts Ungiven requires you to find cards with different names, so he has, instead of 3 Supreme Verdict, for example, he has a Supreme Verdict, a Day of Judgment, and a Wrath of God. He has an Oblivion Ring and a Detention Sphere.
It is possible he trims down on the Wraths. I mean, even if he cuts 1 Wrath, he can still gifts for 2 Wraths and a Snapcaster. Yeah. And maybe he just cuts all of them, figuring, well, I can just go get a Path to Exile if I need it, Maybe he just keeps, maybe instead his gifts package is Oblivion Ring, Detention Sphere, Path to Exile, and anything else.
Right. So
both players seem to be happy with their hand. Reid leading off, turn 1 Celestial Colonnade.
All right, so Reid starting on a control plan. If you're Dickman, I would think if you're Dickman, you're still trying to twin here, but we oftentimes see that he doesn't do that. Reid's hand has some mana, has a Remand. It's 3 more lands, a Remand, a Azoria Signet, and an Iona, Shield of Emeria, which hopefully he'd be hoping to find a Thirst for Knowledge eventually for that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this isn't a great hand, but at least he's got a fair bit of mana, and Patrick's combo deck doesn't combo off as fast as some. Like, it's not as reliable of a turn 4 kill as a lot of twin decks.
It doesn't have very many ways to find the combo unless he naturally draws it.
Yeah, and he's very, very he's very quick to sideboard out pieces, which Reid has done his homework. He knows all about the sideboard plans here. I'm
wondering if we're going to see a single Splinter Twin when Patrick goes through his deck. Well, we won't know. All right, Steam Vents is into play untapped. That's going to put Dickman down to 15 on turn 1. That'll be a Serum Visions. You see Negate boarded in from Dickman.
What's he looking for here? Does he just want to put down some pressure?
That's my question. I don't know whether he even has the ability to twin anymore. If not, it's probably he's looking for what, a Tarmogoyf?
It looks like he might have just put Splinter Twin on the bottom of his deck.
So he has him in his deck and just doesn't want later. Them. Yeah. You see, you do see it, and there's an Exarch in his hand. I think it's the rare twin player, and that shows kind of his experience with the deck, who would, with Exarch in hand, just ship a Splinter Twin.
It was a Splinter Twin, in fact, and he did just move it straight to the bottom.
Looks like he's kept in 2 Splinter Twins. So he's going to go for that turn 2 Tarmogoyf, so kind of, just trying to get a clock. It was remanded by Reid. Of note, Reid could have played a turn 2 Signet, but the remand was valuable enough there that he didn't. And now he'll make a Signet into a Spellskite.
And now it's looking obviously excellent that he did not bother keeping that Splinter Twin.
Yeah. Well, he just knew his opponent had a Spellskite, even though he'd seen his hand. I just find it fascinating that he wouldn't keep the Splinter Twin. He probed his opponent, and his opponent was cold to the twin combo. And then he ships the twin combo to the bottom. So that's just awesome.
What do you think about fetching up basic Forest there?
Well,
because in this spot, he could just take the extra damage. It's not like that's really going to matter that much. But he's kind of subtly representing Blood Moon, even though he doesn't have it.
Yeah, he doesn't play Blood Moon in his 75. His 75 is pretty well known right now. So I mean, if Reid has studied the format, I don't think he's fearful of Blood Moon.
But he could also know that Reid would know that, and that he would know that Reid would know that. So and as a result, he's trying to make it seem as though possibly he changed, set between last week and now.
Colonnade from Reid Duke. Just developing his mana. I think if I'm Dickman, I'm slightly worried, not overly worried, but Reid is 1 mana from hitting with a Colonnade. You don't want to get down too low on life. You don't want to get below 8. I think 8 is where I start being worried about my life total if I'm Patrick.
I don't know.
I like having the 3rd Colonnade hit in there.
Yeah, I suspect he's not the type to be worried about such things as,
as
death or losing.
All right. Well, it's a 2/3 Goyf right now, so not big enough to crash through that Spellskite. And we see Ancient Grudge in Dickman's hand. And he's going to go ahead and cast the first half of that on Spellskite. Do you think the second half hits Azorius Signet?
Probably.
Okay.
I think just slowing Reid down.
Sure, seems pretty good. I don't know how many problematic artifacts Reid plays, like whether or not whether there's something better you need to save it for.
In this spot, he just wants to get a little bit of a tempo advantage.
Yeah, so what
is he looking to do here? Is he actually just gonna remand the path?
Make Reid cast it again?
Yeah, but
just because he wants to remand out of his hand.
Exactly.
If he has no action, that's certainly a reasonable play.
Oh, he has negate though.
Yeah, so he's gonna go ahead and negate the path to exile. Much stronger. And Reid takes 3, moves down to 15. Yeah, and now Reid's on the aggressive. Colonnade hits Dickman down to 8.
I mean, this is a race Reid will win if Patrick doesn't add anything else to the board.
Yeah, I feel like Patrick will have something. Look he has Snapcasters, he has a Dispel. And Patrick pushes forward with another Tarmogoyf swing. So yeah, it's for 5. It's artifact, creature, instant, land.
Yeah, see, if I'm Patrick there, I mean, maybe he has Cryptic Command, but if he doesn't have Cryptic Command, there's such a good chance that what you want to do is destroy the Signet just so that Reid doesn't have enough mana to attack with the Colonnade. But my guess is he's got something. I mean, it's possible he just wants to have Snapcaster Mage to be able to hit negate.
And what's the 5th thing there, right? It's instant creature, artifact, land.
Sorcery.
What did he cast those?
Oh, he didn't. I mean, did he Serum Visions?
Oh, he did. You're right. Okay.
Or Gataxian Probe. Either one.
There you go.
The job.
Probe would work. Okay. So we see another activation of Colonnade by Reid, taking 2 off his Hallowed Fountain to do it, and Dickman will go for a Deceiver Exarch here. Remember, he has a Dispel available, and that's going to work.
Very strong play.
And Reid passes back. Reid tapped out at 8, facing down 6 power. That is a terrifying place to be here. I don't know if he'll live to the untap. We will see. It's going to take 6. Puts him down to 2. Does Patrick have a Bolt or an Electrolyze?
He has a Snapcaster. He doesn't have a Bolt in his graveyard though, but he does have Cryptic Command. So I think he's gonna lock it up here. I mean, Reid needs something awfully good to be able to beat a Cryptic Command with facing lethal.
Absolutely. Right now he has a Power Plant and Mine. He did not complete Urzatron, so he's a little limited on choices for limited on mana.
It is also tough too because he knows that Patrick did not destroy the Azorius Signet.
And there's Tower. The Urzatron is completed. Let's go ahead and activate Colonnade.
This is for the win, but it won't work because of the Cryptic Command.
He's going to activate both Colonnades and
yeah.
just try to swing 8.
Does he have enough for that?
He does. He has exactly enough to activate both Colonnades. Activates the second one, and Patrick's going to tap his team.
Right, and even if he counters it, he'll be tapped out anyway.
Yep, and that should do it. Taps both of Reid's creatures.
Extends the hand.
Yep, and Dickman 2 games to 1 takes down Reid Duke. He moves to 5-0 in a pretty match of titans there, I would say. But Dickman showing once again his prowess, like how good he is at this twin deck.
Oh, just 2 excellent players. It was a tough spot, but. All right, I think we're going to jump back in the booth for a minute. We've only got 2 minutes left in the round, so no more match.